So, hi guys, I'm just going to bring some pictures in, and we're going to do sort of a panorama, or pano. A lot of cameras now, most cameras now, have a system built in, so you can actually stitch pictures together on, as you're taking them. And I've used the Sony ones before, where it basically guides you left or right or up and down, depending on what you're doing, to get the sort of best overlay as possible. Then it obviously compresses it in camera and saves it. It's generally as a JPEG, so obviously there's no editing involved. It's literally done in the camera. It doesn't give you as much control. So I always shoot in RAW, and we've got 3 shots here. So what I'm going to do is just go auto and just see exactly what that's done. So let's dull the sky down. Next one, dull it down a little bit there. This one here, what's it going to do? Brand it up, default with 0. For some reason I exposed it like that, I'm not sure why. There you go. So we can see quite a bit of difference in the brightness. So what we're going to do is actually select all, and we're going to sync all of the different settings the camera produces. And I'm just going to click OK again. And it's now matched all 3 approximately the same. Also just going to crank up the clarity a little bit, just a little bit, and lower the highlights down, and bring the white balance into more of a sort of sunsetty feel, because you get that sort of yellowy sort of sky just as the sun's really sort of heading down, or in the sky, and especially through a sort of snowy clouds, it can be a bit like that. And from there, so let's just make sure we see that. I don't know what that does. Really dark now. It's bizarre. Really bizarre. Don't know why it does that. Back to where we were. So yeah, it can do a random thing every now and again like that, which is a bit bizarre, but yeah, anyway. So pretty much there. I'm going to add a little bit of noise reduction, just because about 20%. Just I noticed in the sky it was a little bit sort of pixely and a bit not that pretty. So yeah, a bit weird. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually merge to a panorama. Unable to match, unable to automatically select a valid lens profile. To imagine without lens profile corrections, yes. You can, in Photoshop, there's a list of all the lenses that are available. Every time they do an update, they obviously adjust it, and it gives you any distortion differences from each lens. So basically, you can make sure the picture looks, its best. This should be fine anyway. So that's what it's going to look like. If I click onto a different one, it's going to make it slightly higher. You can see, whatever, but I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to click auto crop off, and you can see as it's merged, that's what it's basically doing. So the difference between, there you go. So you can basically warp it. We can do that. So we'll click merge. Basically, we're going to have a negative, so digital negative now of what we've done. So we're going to click save, and this will now process the negative. There you go. We're still in RAW, so we can now mess around with this as much as you like. You can bring the whites down or go really bright, whatever you want to do. And that's the best thing about a RAW, is you've got that much to play with. So this is just the whites, so all detailed, a bit underexposed, but you can just bring it in and watch it overexposed. Gone, wolf. So leaving it at 0 is about right. You can adjust the colours. You can go black and white if you want to, nice and easy. But I'm going to leave it sort of a sunsetty, yellowy, sort of warm feeling. We're going to click open to the image. There we go. Now I'm just going to go image auto tone just to see what happens. Okay, so it's made it much whiter. There we go. Back. I'm just going to click auto color to see exactly what that does. Basically the same. Which, you know, is absolutely fine. So I may just leave it like that because it's nice and bright. I'm going to go image. I'm going to go photo filter. So adding a photo filter just to make it feel a little bit warmer, because obviously snow is very cold. But what I'm going to do now is just get the dodge tool and just lighten up this end just to make it feel a bit more punchy. Got the trees there. We've got a bird in flight there. So what we're going to do is just get rid of him because he's a distraction. So that's gone. And a couple of little things which are this here, which is makes you just sort of look down that area. You don't necessarily want, you know, something to jump out at you and make you want to look in a particular area, especially if it's a small detail. And maybe over here as well, a few little bits, just to soften it up a bit. There's different ways to do this. You could just run a brush over if you wanted to, but I'm just going to use the healing tool. Just to basically just tidy it up a bit, really. I mean, obviously it's not natural anymore, but not the end of the world. Just make sure you don't want, you know, just your eyes will follow it. I mean, this bit here is actually making me look. But you can see the rabbit footprints. You go over the top with everything, really, but I'm just an example. So, just tidy it up a little bit. Sometimes Photoshop makes it perfect, but that didn't. You know, it just stops you. A few little distractions here or there that have gone out of the image make a big difference. You know, so this field I really love because it's got a lot of rolling sort of hills, and in the summer it's really green. All the flowers, it had bluey purple flowers in it once, which looked really nice. The only thing I would say, you could start messing around now. So the only thing I'd say about this fence here, it sort of runs into the shop but then veers off to the left. So what we can do, there's a couple of ways of doing this, but what we're going to do is just highlight the whole image. And there you go, free transform. And then we can go warp. What we can start to do is just pull that fence to the edge. So basically it's now going off to the corner. We can now just make the field maybe a little bit more curvy than it was before. Maybe make the trees a bit taller. So there's many things you can do. This is just for fun. But as you can see, so the fence itself is starting to distort very slightly there. And then we go OK. I'll deselect. So now the fence is more just a corner, like a little triangle of area, which is, you know, maybe it'll go that way. And you've got still got a little bit of the rolling hills and everything like that. I've made the trees taller on the right hand side. We've still got the sun sort of like there. It's a little bit overexposed actually. We can now go filter and we can go liquefy. So we can now mess around with this hill here. I don't pucker tool, but so you've got the forward warp tool. So what we can do is go make the size a bit bigger. We can add the curvature of the hill there to add some more of a rolly hill feel. To that whole field, you know, just to add that sort of more, I don't know, more of a not 3D, but maybe more of a just a, you know, a feel of depth and interest into the image. So we've made this quite curvy now. so it runs up and down twice and then over and then disappears, which is quite cool. I'm just actually going to bring that up a bit so it's a bit more smooth. But there you go. So it's, I can bring that down so it's a bit more in line with those. So we've got to try and keep those lines there where the tractor have been in line, so it doesn't look too messed around with. There you go. Now we just click OK. And that's now merged. So we can go before, after. So it's just a bit of interest and a bit of messing around really, but that's how you create, you know, a little bit of interest to your images. Some people would say it's not real, it doesn't, you know, but it's not the camera that lied. So the camera took what it saw, you know, what we told it that was right, either in auto mode or in fully manual. So I had this in fully manual. For some reason I've taken a darker exposure, the left hand side than the two on the right. But it's fully adjustable, so it's not the end of the world. And then obviously we've now merged things and moved things around a little bit just to add maybe a different kind of look. So if we go back to auto color and just see what it's actually going to do, it changes a little bit there. I mean, you can go into raw again, which I quite like. I like doing because it just allows you to mess around with it a bit more. I do think maybe black and white might work best. We can just crank up the clarity just to see what's going to go on there. Bring down the cloud, so you've got a lot more cloud showing up, but also at the same time bring the shadows up a little bit. You've got dehaze now, so you can make it, you know, you can make it really quite cold feeling right into the clouds. But as you can see, there are noises now protruding. See how far do you take that before it? There you go. So something like that would give you the moody clouds. The whites drop down a bit. Contrast is probably fine. And click OK. So you've got now a really quite sort of, say, interesting image, but you've now got an image that is quite punchy, quite interesting. There's quite a lot going on in it. What I'm doing here is I'm just literally making that white bright again, so the sky itself is dark and moody. We can make that even more moody just by burning in. So it looks like a proper moody sky. So we just go auto tones again to make sure it's about right. And that's kind of the image done really. I mean, it's just a bit messing around really. Just learning, and you know, nothing is right or wrong. You can make things look silly. I mean, we could go into liquify again and just drag that up and have mountains, you know. You can make it look stupid like that. You know, and just, you know, just be ridiculous. So you've got the reconstruct tool. So what you can do is, you can reconstruct stuff, so you can lose the mountain and such if you wanted to, and it just takes it back to what it was. If you have a tabletop or whatever. There you go. You could just click cancel. But yeah, that's the sort of image that you could just mess around with. It's just a bit of fun. And you know, at the end of the day, if you saved that as an image and never showed anyone, or if they didn't know the area, they wouldn't know any different. You know, it could look like that. You know, the fact the trees are shorter up here, you know, it shows that I've actually gone up, and also the clouds are maybe slightly curved there as well. You know, but if you messed around and got it, you know, straighten them back up and never mess around, you could actually, you know, end up with a convincing image that didn't look like it was being messed around with. So you know, that's the difference really of just having to mess around with Photoshop. This is how I learned at the end of the day, just messing around with it, just experimenting, going too far so you know that it looks rubbish, you know you've gone too far with it, so you know you've ruined an image, and then bringing it back and back and back until you go, okay, that still looks right, which is good. So you need to have a level where the photo doesn't overstep the mark and look unnatural, with extra lines and over saturation and curves that are wrong, and things like that. So, but that's it, guys. So obviously it's just a case of messing around and creating art that you can show to people, then hopefully they'll like. But this shot here was just an old photo. It's just up the road from me. There's a roundabout, so I pulled off the road and just took a shot, because the actual original hill before, without being touched, is quite cool. I'll open it in as is. So that's the difference. So if we go open, there you go. So messed around with, not messed around with, but it does look quite flat, and there's no real shape to the image at the moment, and also the sky and the lighting, everything's very flat. But then when you actually look at that, it kind of looks a bit more interesting. So it's just a case of messing around with what you've got. If you think you can make it better, it's worth a go. I haven't saved this yet. I've got the pano sort of negative there that we've created before we've edited it as such. It's been put together in Photoshop, and then we've got the time that we can mess around with it. This one here is obviously the one we've just done, and it allows you to do whatever you want. This one's far from perfect, but it's just a demonstration of how easy it is to manipulate an image, and go from there. So anyway, if you like that, just please subscribe and like and share and push the little notification bell and stuff like that. So and there'll be more videos coming soon.